My fiancé's childhood friend sprained her ankle, and without a second thought, he became her personal driver. When I expressed my dissatisfaction, he even let her move into our marital home. He shamelessly said to me, "You're so petty, not letting me pick up and drop off Amber for work. Her foot hasn't healed yet, and I'm worried about her walking such a long distance. Our marital home is close to her company, and since we're not living there now, it's just sitting empty." On the day we were supposed to get our marriage certificate, he directly stood me up. "Amber sneezed twice this morning, and I'm worried, so I'm taking her to the hospital. Getting the certificate isn't urgent, we can reschedule for another day." Reschedule my foot? I directly called my childhood friend, Sean. "Want to get married? If yes, hurry over." I waited at the intersection for half an hour, but my fiancé's car didn't show up. Usually, at this time, he would have already parked the car and been waiting to pick me up for work. For 3 years, rain or shine. On my 20th call to him, it finally connected. However, a female voice came from the other end. "Vivian, Eric is driving and can't take the call. This is Amber. I accidentally sprained my ankle this morning. Eric was worried about me, so he came to pick me up for work. Please hand him the phone." "Eric, couldn't you have called to let me know you were picking up Amber? Do you know how worried I was about you? It was sudden, and I was in a hurry, so I forgot about you. By the way, starting today, I won't be able to pick you up for work anymore. Amber sprained her ankle, and I have to take care of her." That's it, hanging up now. A surge of anger rose in my heart. This Amber is truly a master of manipulation, and men just fall for it. I had to take a taxi to the company myself, which made me 2 hours late. My boss, who is also my childhood friend, called me into his office. "What's going on today? You're so late." "Don't even mention it. Eric went to pick up Amber this morning without telling me. I waited for him for a long time and then went to his place to look for him, wasting so much time. He's terrible. Don't marry him. Dump him and marry me instead." I rolled my eyes at him. "Forget it, I still remember you in diapers." At that moment, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Amber on Facebook. "Sorry, Vivian, for making you late to work today. Did your boss scold you? I told Eric not to pick me up, but he insisted. You don't mind, do you?" I replied, "Thanks for your concern. I'm well connected here, I'm the one who scolds the boss. Also, I'm 3 years younger than you, so I should be calling you sister. Besides, I really mind Eric picking you up every day for work, so please take a taxi yourself from now on." After sending that, I felt relieved. Then Amber replied, "Sorry, I thought you looked older than me. I told Eric I would take a taxi myself, but he wouldn't listen. Maybe you should talk to him yourself." I showed my phone to Sean and said, "See? She's mocking me for looking old. She's in her 30s and still dressing in Lolita fashion, pretending to be young." Immediately after, Amber posted on Facebook, "My exclusive passenger seat," with a picture of her sitting in the passenger seat of my car, tilting her head, with Eric's shoulder visible next to her. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, so I called Eric directly. "Have you finished dropping off your little sister Amber? Now come to the cafe downstairs from my company and wait for me. I have something to say to you." Half an hour later, I met Eric at the cafe. "What is it that you couldn't say over the phone and had to call me here? How long will you be picking up and dropping off Amber for work? It takes 100 days for a sprain to heal, so at least 3 months, right? Fine, then give me back my car, I'll drive myself to work. The car Eric drives is mine." Initially, he was so envious when he saw me driving a Mercedes, saying he had never driven such a nice car and wanted to try it. Later, he just took the car and said he would be my full-time driver, so I let him have it. "If I give the car back to you, what will I drive? This car was bought by my dad for my convenience to go to work. Now that you're not picking me up anymore, is there a problem with me wanting it back? Can't you just take a taxi? You know I need to drive to pick up Amber for work, and you still want the car back." Vivian, when did you become so petty? Amber is my sister. Her foot is injured, shouldn't I, as her brother, pick her up? I remember you're an only child, when did you get a sister? Besides, can't Amber take a taxi to work? And you're about to get married, do you think it's appropriate for you to drive your fiancé's car to pick up another woman every day? I directly extended my hand, give me the car keys. Eric made a face and after a long while said, fine, I won't pick her up anymore, okay? It was thoughtless of me, don't be angry. That's more like it. In the evening, near the end of work, Eric called me. I won't be picking you up today, I have to help a friend move. Alright, but don't be late tomorrow morning. After hanging up, I noticed Sean leaning nearby, looking at me. What? Your fiancé isn't making excuses to go pick up his childhood friend, is he? Impossible, he promised me he wouldn't. Are you sure? Then do you think he might bring his childhood friend back to his place to take care of her? That's even more impossible, what kind of person do you think he is? Although I said that, I still had doubts in my heart. In the evening, I video called Eric. Are you home alone? Of course, who else would there be? Then take your phone and show me around the house. What, are you afraid I'm hiding someone? Eric took his phone and walked around his rental apartment, indeed, there was no one else. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Just as I was about to go to sleep peacefully, a late-night Facebook post from Amber made me sleepless again. Amber posted a selfie with the caption, moving to a new home. The background painting in her selfie was identical to the one in Eric's and my new house. A bad feeling arose in my heart, but then I thought Eric wouldn't do something so outrageous. The next day, when Eric came to pick me up, I asked him, who did you help move yesterday? A former colleague, we were on good terms at work, so when he asked for help, I went. What a coincidence, Amber also moved yesterday. Didn't she ask you for help? Really? She didn't ask me, maybe she hired a moving company herself. Seeing him answer fluently, I dispelled my doubts. When the weekend came, I bought some decorations and asked Eric to go to the new house with me. He obviously panicked for a moment. Ah? Let's not go, it's too hot. Let's stay home and watch a movie instead. What movie? If you don't go, I'll go by myself. Eric quickly held me back. How about this, I'll treat you to the Japanese food you've always wanted, and after that, we'll go to the cinema to watch a movie. I'll pay. Eric is usually very stingy, when we eat out, we take turns paying, and he always chooses cheap places like Spicy Hot Pot or Shasian Snacks. Today, he was willing to take me for Japanese food, the sun must have risen from the west. But I didn't expose him and went with him to eat Japanese food and watch a movie. It cost him nearly 1,000 yuan, which pained him greatly. On the way back home, he kept mumbling, asking me to treat him next time. He dropped me off at my doorstep, and as soon as I saw his car leave, I immediately took a taxi to the new house. The new house had a digital lock, and I entered the password several times, but it kept showing an error. Fortunately, I had the key and opened the door directly. As soon as I entered, I was stunned. The small home that was originally decorated and arranged according to my taste had completely changed. The living room's decorative painting had changed from Nordic court style to crayon Shinchan, and the full leather brown sofa was covered with an ugly plush cover. The black and gold tables, chairs, and cabinets were all painted white, and the furniture's placement had been completely rearranged. I opened the master bedroom door and saw Amber sleeping on Eric's and my marital bed, using the silk bedding set that was part of my dowry. Actually, before coming, I had already considered the possibility that Amber might be living there and had mentally prepared myself. But I didn't expect her to turn my carefully arranged home into this and still sleep peacefully on my marital bed. She was startled. Vivian, why didn't you knock before entering? Who allowed you to enter my home? I was so angry that I was speechless for a moment before saying, get this straight, this is my home. Eric said he lent this house to me to live in, so it's my home. You entered someone else's home without permission, how did your mother teach you? I retorted, did your mother teach you to have shame? You moved into someone else's new house and turned their home into this, and you still think you're right. I immediately called Eric. Get over to the new house right now. Eric realized immediately. It's just letting Amber stay in our new house for a while. Is it worth getting so angry? You're so petty, not letting me pick up and drop off Amber for work. Her foot hasn't healed yet, and I'm worried about her walking such a long distance. Our marital home is close to her company, and since we're not living there now, it's just sitting empty. Amber smiled smugly. Even if you call Eric here, what can you do? Everything I did was with his tacit approval. And you don't need to be so angry because the mistress of this house might not be you. I hung up the phone. Then why don't you just ask Eric to marry you? You've been childhood friends for so many years, logically, it shouldn't be my turn. So why doesn't he marry you? From what I've observed, the reason Eric doesn't be with Amber is that he looks down on her family's conditions. Amber didn't even go to high school, she went straight to nursing school after junior high. Her parents are unemployed and rely on relatives for support. Whereas I am a native of Beijing, graduated from a 985 university, and my family owns a courtyard house. Any man would know how to choose. Amber was hit where it hurts, and her expression turned fierce. Eric just hasn't faced his true feelings yet. Wait and see, your marriage won't happen. The sound of the door opening came from the entrance, and Amber immediately screamed and fell to the ground. Vivian, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have touched your new house. Please don't hit me, I'm almost beaten to death by you. 56, Eric rushed over to protect Amber. Vivian, how could you hit someone? First of all, I didn't hit her at all. Even if I did, doesn't she deserve it? Eric looked around the house. Amber, how did you turn the house into this? Eric, didn't you say I could make myself comfortable? I really didn't like the decoration of your house, so I decorated it according to my own taste. These things cost me a lot of money, don't they look nice? I did it with good intentions. Eric frowned. Vivian, Amber was wrong to change the house's decoration without permission, but you shouldn't have hit her either. Apologize to her quickly, and I won't pursue it further. I was so angry that I left. Eric, are you blind? Can't you see she's faking it? We're supposed to get our marriage certificate tomorrow, why don't you just marry her instead? After saying that, I turned to leave. Eric quickly chased after me and grabbed me. Vivian, don't be upset. Amber is still young and doesn't know better, don't stoop to her level. Fine, I'll have her restore the house to its original state right now and make her move out immediately. I don't want this house anymore, it's disgusting. I pointed to the bedroom. She slept on our marital bed, it makes me sick. Alright, we won't keep the house. I'll list it for sale secondhand right away, and we'll buy a new one. Amber became anxious. Eric, why are you indulging her so much? It was clearly her who hit me first. Stop it, Amber. I shouldn't have let you move in. Amber ran away crying. Eric was very anxious. It's so late, it's not safe for Amber to be alone. Let's meet directly at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. I was so angry that tears kept flowing, and I wanted to break up with Eric right away, but I couldn't bear to let go. The next day, I still arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau on time. But I waited, and Eric didn't come. I called him, and it took a long time for him to answer. Amber sneezed twice this morning, and I'm worried, so I'm taking her to the hospital. Getting the certificate isn't urgent, we can reschedule for another day. Before I could say anything, he hung up the phone. I was furious. Reschedule my foot. I'm done with this. I directly sent him a message saying break up and then blocked all his contact methods. I thought since I was already here, I might as well not waste the trip, so I called Sean. Want to get married? If yes, hurry over. 10 minutes later, Sean arrived in his Ferrari. I directly pulled him into the Civil Affairs Bureau. It's not too late to regret now, once the red book is stamped, it'll be too late. Sean grinned. I won't regret it. After getting the certificate, I received a message from Amber on Facebook. I told you your marriage wouldn't happen. I directly took a photo of Sean and my marriage certificate and sent it to her. Thank you, I'm now Mrs. Sean. Not long after sending the Facebook message, Amber called. As soon as I answered, I heard Eric's angry voice. Vivian, was that necessary? I just got held up and couldn't make it to the Civil Affairs Bureau. It's not like I'm not going to get the certificate with you. Did you have to block all my contact methods? Besides, I didn't go because Amber was sick. We can get the marriage certificate anytime, but Amber's illness can't wait. And you sent Amber a fake marriage certificate saying you married someone else. How old are you to play such childish tricks? How boring. Before I get really angry, hurry up and add me back. I listened quietly to him. You're right, I should add you back. Because even though we've broken up, there are still some accounts to settle. Park my car in my garage and leave the keys with the doorman. Just because I drove Amber to the hospital this morning, you're not letting me use the car anymore? Vivian, can you be any more petty? I'm not giving the car back to you. Stop asking me to return the car over every little thing. If you keep this up, I'll really get angry. You're not returning the car, right? Then I'll call the police directly. I didn't waste words with him, hung up the phone, and directly called the police. The police were very efficient and immediately arrested Eric, and my car was also impounded by the police. Eric called me in a hurry. Vivian, you're something else, you really called the police. Hurry to the police station and tell them it was all a misunderstanding. After hanging up, I looked at Sean beside me. Let's go, accompany me to the police station to get my car back. Yes, ma'am. My dear wife. Sean drove me to the police station, and Eric was very excited to see me. Officer, my fiancé is here. The police looked at me. Are you the one who called the police? Yes, I lent my car to this man, but when I asked him to return it, he refused and said he wouldn't give it back. Officer, don't listen to her nonsense. She's my fiancé, we just had a fight. This car was bought for me to drive, I didn't steal it. At most, you're my ex-boyfriend. I took back the car keys, turned around, and left with Sean. Seeing that we knew each other, the police didn't detain Eric and let him go. Eric chased after me. Why are you with Sean? I looked at Sean puzzled. Do you know each other? Sean was also surprised. I've only heard of him from you. 85, Eric smiled ingratiatingly. Sean, I've seen you in financial magazines. You seem very familiar with my fiancé. Great, so we're all on the same side. Who's on the same side as you? I leaned my head on Sean's shoulder. You are you, and we are we. Eric's eyes almost popped out. You and Sean, you. Didn't you see our marriage certificate? We are now husband and wife, legally. Eric suddenly laughed. Vivian, you're impressive, you even got Sean to help you act. If you had such connections, why didn't you say so earlier? Do you know how much effort I put into negotiating cooperation with the Shin Corporation? Today, for Sean's sake, I won't hold it against you. How about this, you bring Sean, and we all have dinner together. I'm giving you a way out, at least say something. Sean looked at Eric as if he were an idiot. Your ex-boyfriend must have had his head caught in a door. I sneered. Not only that, after getting caught, he was kicked by a donkey on his way out. We directly ignored Eric, got into the Ferrari, and drove away. My dear wife, how about we go on a honeymoon? Sure. Where do you want to go? You arrange it. My mind is in turmoil now. Although I know clearly that Eric is not someone worth entrusting my life to, after being together for so long, it's still hard to part suddenly. Sean noticed my low spirits and kept trying to cheer me up along the way. During that time, I received another message from Eric on Facebook. How long are you going to keep this up? If you don't stop, I'll really get angry. I didn't reply, and he sent another message. Fine, I'll admit I was wrong, okay? I don't need you to apologize either. I won't hold it against you for calling the police and getting me into the station today. Just hurry up and bring the car back, I need it for work tomorrow. It was indeed my fault for missing the appointment today, but it was sudden. Who could have thought Amber would catch a cold on this day? I should have called you in advance to let you know. It was my mistake to make you go for nothing. I checked the almanac, tomorrow is also a good day. Let's go get the certificate tomorrow, I definitely won't be late. Vivian, say something. Are you mute? I've already given in, can't you stop making a fuss? Fine, if you insist on this, then let's just drag it out. I'm not in a hurry to get married anyway. Seeing him lose his composure, I smiled. By then, I was already lying on the beach in the Maldives, enjoying the sun. Screw that scumbag and his mistress, let them go to hell. Feeling much better, I looked at Sean beside me. I realized that not only does he have pecs, but he also has 8-pack abs. I hadn't noticed before when he was dressed. This guy's body is comparable to a male model's. His face is also extremely handsome, and even there. I'm very puzzled now, with such a perfect man by my side, how did I ever fall for Eric? Sean suddenly looked at me and smiled. Wife, are you lusting after my body? How about we go back to the hotel? I quickly looked away, my ears burning. Who says I'm lusting after you? I've seen you naked before. I'm not the same as when I was a kid, want to take another look? His words made my face even hotter. Can you be serious? Why be serious with my own wife? At that moment, my phone vibrated. It was a recording sent by Amber. I opened it and listened. It was her chatting with Eric. Eric, it's just a minor cold, you don't need to take me to the hospital. Today is the day you and Vivian are supposed to get your certificate, it's not good to be late. We can get the certificate anytime. How can I be in the mood to get it when you're not feeling well? Let's go to the hospital first, we can get the certificate another day. But getting the certificate is such a big deal, won't Vivian be angry if you don't go? If she's angry, so be it, I can coax her later. Anyway, she's pregnant now, if she doesn't marry me, no one else will take her. If I don't marry her, she'll come crying to beg me. Then there was a burst of laughter. I had the recording on speaker, and Sean heard it too. He immediately leaned in nervously. You're pregnant? Yes, you're going to be a father, are you happy? Sean nervously pursed his lips. I'm going to be a father so soon? You can also choose not to accept it and let me abort the child. How can that be? Abortion is too harmful to your body. Anyway, since it's coming from your belly, I can treat it as my own. I looked at him and burst out laughing. You're quite open-minded. It's because I love you and everything about you. Sean's puppy eyes were filled with love for me. How did I not notice before how much this guy loves me? Just kidding, I'm not pregnant. Not pregnant? Then why did Eric say you were? He must have a screw loose, I've never slept with him, so how could I be pregnant? Sean was even more shocked. You're about to get married and haven't slept together yet? Why are you so surprised? Can't I be traditional? Sean chuckled. In that case, then we. He suddenly picked me up horizontally and ran wildly towards the hotel. We had a passionate 3 days and nights in the hotel room. Only now did I realize how capable Sean is. A month later, Sean and I returned to China. Wife, since we're married, shouldn't you move in with me? Of course, help me move. I brought Sean home with me and found Eric squatting at my doorstep. Vivian, you finally came back. He saw Sean beside me and frowned even more. It's one thing for you to fool around alone, but you're dragging Sean into it too. Sean is so busy with so much work to handle, you'll delay his work. Sean hugged me. You don't need to worry about that, I'm happy to accompany my wife. Eric's eyes were full of disdain. Sean, you don't need to act with Vivian anymore. I've investigated, you and Vivian are childhood friends, so I understand why you're helping her. But she's carrying my child now, and I have to take responsibility for her. Vivian, stop making a fuss, okay? Because of you, everyone is having a hard time now. You're pregnant and still running off to play abroad, dragging Sean along. How can you not take care of yourself? I called you and sent you messages on Facebook, but you didn't reply. I asked when you were coming back, and you didn't say. I've been waiting at your doorstep for half a month. I've shown so much sincerity, can't you stop making a fuss? I listened quietly until he finished. Eric, I think you really should go to the hospital to check your brain. We've never lived together, how could I be pregnant with your child? That day I was drunk, didn't you take me home? You even undressed me and slept in the same bed with me. And you said your period was late this month, what else could it be if not pregnancy? I couldn't help but roll my eyes. That night, we didn't do anything, you couldn't even perform. And my period was late because my periods are always irregular. Also, I've already broken up with you, I'm now Sean's wife. Please don't bother me again. Impossible, you love me so much, how could you marry someone else? I took out the marriage certificate from my bag. Open your dog eyes and see clearly whether Sean and I are legally married. The moment he saw our marriage certificate, Eric was completely dumbfounded. Vivian, how could you marry someone else? Why can't I marry someone else? You let another woman live in our marital home, and you even stood me up for the certificate, why can't I marry someone else? I held Sean's arm. My current husband is better than you in every way, he's more considerate, handsomer, wealthier, more capable, and most importantly, he's better in bed. Eric's face turned liver-colored, and just as he was about to retort, Amber ran over. Eric, you're here after all. I called you, but you didn't answer, I was worried. Seeing Amber, Eric didn't have his usual good temper. Why do you keep calling me? Do you have anything important? Amber was startled by his sudden irritability. Eric, what's wrong with you? Don't you like it when I call you? Don't talk nonsense. I just told you to contact me if there's something important, why do you contact me if there's nothing? Vivian, Amber, and I really aren't what you think. I don't care what you two are. Oh, by the way, the renovation of that marital home was all paid for by me. Since we've broken up, I can't take the renovation back, so tomorrow I'll send someone to demolish it all. Don't worry, I'll restore it to its original state for you. Amber couldn't suppress a smile. Vivian, are you really breaking up with Eric? Aren't you pregnant? What about the child? Sean, did you know Vivian is pregnant? You must not be the one to take over. First, I know about this. Second, my wife is not pregnant at all. Lastly, whether I take over or not is none of your business, even if I do, I'm happy to do so for my wife. Sean looked at Eric. So this is your childhood friend, her manipulative nature is overflowing. She looks so old, if she didn't speak, I'd think she was your aunt. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Yes, Amber, stop calling me Vivian all the time. I told you I'm younger than you, and you still call me sister. At your age, why are you pretending to be young? Amber was so angry that her nose was crooked, but because Sean was present, she didn't dare say anything. Sean called his assistant to help me pack, while Eric stood by with red eyes, watching. Why aren't you leaving? Do you enjoy watching people move? Vivian, why are you treating me like this? We were just one step away from happiness. We were about to get married, weren't we? How can you be so heartless to say you don't want me anymore? I sneered, stop pretending to be affectionate now, what were you doing earlier? I pushed him aside. Get out of the way, don't be a nuisance here. Amber pulled Eric. Eric, let's go. Vivian has already changed her heart, she's married now, so don't be persistent anymore. Only I am devoted to you, no matter how you treat me, I'll always be by your side. I sneered, you are indeed very devoted to him. Eric, let me show you our chat records, you should know what Amber has been doing behind your back. Eric took my phone and looked through our chat records, then looked at Amber in disbelief. Amber was still playing dumb. Eric, why are you looking at me like that? I haven't been in contact with Vivian privately. These chat records must be fabricated by her, don't believe her. Amber, do you take me for a fool? Clicking on this Facebook leads to your profile, how could this be fabricated? I always thought you were innocent and kind, but it turns out you've been scheming against me all along. Amber stopped pretending. I did all this for you. You clearly care about me the most, yet you still want to marry Vivian. I just wanted to help you see your true feelings, so you don't regret it after getting the certificate. Eric was panting heavily. Who asked you to be so presumptuous? The person I want to marry has always been only Vivian, and the one I love is only her. If you two want to argue, go somewhere else, don't argue at my doorstep. Sean put his hands on his hips. I've really put up with you for a long time, throw these two out. Eric and Amber were carried out by the bodyguards, and finally, it was quiet around me. Then I blocked all contact methods of Eric and Amber. I thought I would never have any contact with Eric again, but on my first day back at work, I received a large bouquet of roses. There was a card on the roses that said, "To my dearest love." I thought it was from Sean, so I took the flowers to his office. Why did you send flowers to the company? So many people saw it, it's embarrassing. Sean was confused. I didn't send them. He quickly realized, who the hell dares to send my wife roses? This is a blatant challenge to me, Sean. Maybe someone sent them by mistake. I tried to find someone to return the flowers, but couldn't contact anyone. Then, on the second and third days, I kept receiving red roses. Sean was completely furious. Who the hell dares to openly pursue my wife? I'm still alive. Find out who it is, I must catch this bastard. Just as Sean sent someone to investigate, someone came to find me. Vivian, someone is looking for you downstairs. I went downstairs and saw Eric waiting there. Vivian, did you receive the roses I sent you? So it was you who sent them. Since Eric and I started dating, he had only given me roses once, and it was just one. I really don't know how I ended up almost marrying such a stingy and incompetent man. What's with that expression? Don't you love roses the most? I sent you such a big bouquet, aren't you happy? Are you sick, Eric? I'm already married, and you're sending me roses. What were you doing when we were together? Vivian, I was wrong before. If you're willing to give me a chance, I'll make it up to you. I know you still love me in your heart, you only married Sean out of spite. Now that your anger should have subsided, I don't mind that you've been married before, and I'll still treat you well like before. I took a deep breath. Stop dreaming, okay? I don't love you anymore. If you don't have a mirror at home, at least you have urine, pee and look at yourself. How can you compare to Sean? But Vivian, I really love you, I can't live without you. You don't know how I've been since we broke up, I can't sleep every day, and I've lost 10 pounds. Haven't you noticed? What does that have to do with me? Notify me when you die, and I'll come to your funeral feast. Vivian, how can you be so heartless? We've been together for so many years, don't you have any lingering feelings? No, I should thank you for not marrying me, which gave me the opportunity to find such a good husband. As I said this, I couldn't help but retch. Eric was greatly shocked. Do you find me so disgusting that you want to vomit? I waved my hand. It has nothing to do with you, I just feel unwell. Vivian, what's wrong? Are you okay? Do you want me to take you to the hospital? He was about to come over to support me, but his hand was swatted away. Don't touch my wife. Wife, what's wrong? Where do you feel uncomfortable? A bit nauseous. Without another word, Sean picked me up horizontally. I'll take you to the hospital. I buried my face in his shoulder. Put me down quickly, it's not that serious. I can walk by myself. No, I like holding you. Sean drove me to the hospital, and after some checks, it turned out I wasn't sick but pregnant. I held the ultrasound report, very surprised. You're amazing, hitting the target in one shot. Sean was overjoyed, hugging me and spinning around several times. Great, I'm going to be a father. I found him embarrassing and told him to be quiet. Vivian, you're actually pregnant. An exclamation from behind startled me. I turned around and saw Eric had followed us to the hospital at some point. Sean protected me behind him. We are legally married, it's normal for my wife to be pregnant. As for you, if you harass my wife again, do you not want to stay in Jiangqing anymore? Eric cried. It was the first time I saw him shed tears. Vivian, I never thought we would part ways. His gaze suddenly shifted behind us. Amber, why are you here? I turned around sharply and saw Amber also holding an ultrasound report, arm in arm with a strange man. Eric rushed over and snatched the ultrasound report from her hand. You're pregnant. Amber panicked. Eric, listen to me, that day I was drunk and mistook someone else for you. Eric raised his hand and slapped Amber. You slut, do you think I'll believe your nonsense again? The man next to Amber got angry. How dare you hit my girlfriend, are you looking for death? He and that man started fighting, and Amber tried to intervene but was kicked in the stomach by Eric. She immediately started bleeding. Amber was rushed to the emergency room. That kick caused her uterus to rupture and bleed heavily. Although her life was saved, she lost the child and her uterus. She lost the ability to become a mother. Eric was sentenced to 3 years for causing grievous bodily harm through negligence. Amber's boyfriend disappeared immediately upon learning she could no longer get pregnant. Later, she randomly married a construction worker. The child in my belly was born smoothly, a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. Sean was overjoyed and immediately bought an island as a gift for me. The children grew up day by day. I held my daughter's hand, and Sean held our son's hand as we strolled down the street together. Our son suddenly took a liking to a doll sold at a street stall. Mom, I want this. I looked and saw it was just a knockoff. Darling, let's not buy this, Mom will take you to the mall ahead to buy a better one. The street vendor picked up the dirty doll. This is the genuine article, why waste money at the mall? The moment he looked up and met my eyes, he immediately lowered his head in panic. I'm not selling anymore, go buy it at the mall. So it was an old acquaintance. Eric now had a scruffy beard and a face full of wrinkles, looking at least 20 years older than 3 years ago. I pretended not to recognize him and continued walking with the children. Sean looked back. That uncle is peeking at us, he must think our family is too good-looking. I laughed. You're already a father, why are you still so narcissistic? Amidst the family's laughter and joy, the sunshine was just right.